Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for our review of Day 2 of Euro 2020. And it was a long day yesterday, a dramatic day. Obviously, the huge story developing in the middle game about Christian Eriksen, who we believe has stabilised since collapsing on the pitch. Game suspended, chaos, lots and lots of concern. So we wish Christian Eriksen well, and we hope we can move on with the tournament knowing that he is in an improving condition. Of course, all a little bit raw and a little bit emotional, particularly as those scenes were unfolding yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we were on top of kind of the live reaction in the stream yesterday. So if you want more thoughts on that, you can go and check that back. Elsewhere on the channel, it would have been the game after Belgium and Russia. If you want to check that out, here are the scores from yesterday. It was Wales 1, Switzerland 1. That was the second Group A game after the Turks and the Italians played after the opening ceremony. And then Group B kicked off with Denmark 0, Finland 1. Maybe a big mitigating factor in that one, of course. Belgium 3, Russia 0. An impressive start by the Belgians and an impressive start in the Golden Boot race for Romelu Lukaku, who's already got 2 goals on the score sheet. Let's look at each of the games. First one was over in Baku, and it was the Welsh, so the first of our home nations getting involved. There is your Welsh team. Ward, Roberts, Mepham, Rodden, Davis, Allen with Morel and Ramsey, and what turned out to be a fairly deep central midfield, particularly in the first half. Bale right, James left, and Kiefer Moore up top. For the Swiss, Summer, Elvedi, Shah and Akanji is a pretty high calibre defence, particularly the 2 wide centre-backs there, highly valued players over in Germany. And Babu, Rodriguez, wing-back, Xhaka, Frilla, Shaqiri, Seferovic, and probably the MVP of the game, Embolo, up top, who very, very much caught the eye in the second half. And it was Embolo that heads the first goal. Connor Roberts just loses him. You can see he's more concerned with the physical battle than the ball there, sadly. And Embolo heads it in. It was pretty much a virtuoso 5-10 minute spell from Embolo that really turned the game. There was a bit of a sense in the first half that Wales, not quite to the extent Turkey did against Italy, had gone a little bit too defensive in the first half, and the outball was Dan James down the left. They weren't getting these 2 really high calibre players, Bale and Ramsey, were just not getting on the ball. And it looked like the game was getting away from the Welsh, and it was going to be a 0-pointer until another set play, and a really good set play actually. They finally got Kiefer Moore on his own. The corner went short. Look at the decoy on the back post with Mepham and Rodden, which meant Kiefer Moore could make the run to the near post. It went short once, twice to Joe Morel. In comes the cross, and it's a great header by big Kiefer Moore. Brilliant stuff from the Cardiff man, and it was enough for a point, a very, very useful point for the Welsh if they can learn the lessons perhaps from the first game and grow a bit into the tournament. It could have been worse. The numbers tell us that. Look at that, 18 shots to 9, only 2 on target during the game. Look, 12 corners to 4, 64-36 on the possession. Look at the big chances, 4-0 for the Swiss. And look at the shot map and the XG. All of those underlying numbers tell us that Wales possibly got away with one in this game, but we'll always get the argument, hashtag there's only one stat that matters, and whilst that's not 100% true. There's only one stat that matters when the points are being divided out, of course, aren't they? And that is the goals, and it was 1-1. And let's be honest, Kiefer Moore headed in the first half and had one tipped over. So it is about chance quality, the quality of the chances you create and the quality of the chances or lack of therein that you concede. I suspect in a similar game state against a better opponent there, and the Swiss weren't bad, used the ball fairly well, got the wing backs forward, and Bolo seems a high calibre player. But perhaps against a better opponent, they're losing that game in that game state, the Welsh. So let's see if they can grow into the tournament. But a very, very good first point for the Welsh. And they're in it still, aren't they? That's the table. So the Welsh currently in one of those third place spots. And we're going to say this all the way through the group stages. 4 out of the 6 groups, third place goes through. So first of all, get yourself a jersey. Get in that spot and you've got a chance. And then, of course, look at that next set of games. Italy versus Switzerland. Obviously, you make the Italians favourites in that one. Turkey versus Wales. Big, big chance for the Welsh. Can they beat the Turks, which would really, really put the Turks... I mean, they wouldn't be out of it totally. It would still depend on the last game. But the Welsh would be in really, really good nick if they can go and win that game. They've got all the chance of qualifying if you can get onto that 4-point mark that seems to be the magic one. What I will say about this third place thing is what it does mean is there's not going to be many people thinking they're going home after 2 games. Even someone like the Turks there could be on 0 points with Wales on 4. The only way... but even then, even if the Swiss beat the Italians, the Turks could still win the last game and the Italians could lose the last game. And, you know, so it does keep things interesting until the third game. But, yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of chopping and changing in maths. That is the state of Group A. We kicked off in Group B in Copenhagen with Denmark versus Finland. And obviously the game overshadowed by the Christian Eriksen incident. We'll try and deal with it as per normal, but obviously throw in the mitigating factors there. There's your Danish team. Schmeichel, Vass, Kjær, Christensen, Marley, Delaney, Højbjerg, Eriksen, Poulsen, Wind, Braithwaite. And the Finns, and it's a bit of a weird one for Finland, isn't it? Because they're coming to their first tournament and they've gloriously, or not gloriously, or in awkward circumstances, they've won the game and it's all been a bit overshadowed. So congratulations to the Finns for sure. Hradecki in goal, Urinen, O'Shaughnessy, Arajuri, Toivio, Ratala, Lod, Spav, Kamara, Pukki, and Pojan Palo, who's going to score that winning goal for the Finns, who are on the verge. They're looking for one more point now of qualification. So, look, a lot of people getting very upset with pictures and all very emotional yesterday. So, that is a long-distance picture of where Christian Eriksen collapsed and the players trying to give him some privacy there. It's very difficult, isn't it? As a footballer, once you're on that pitch, you're living your life in front of not only a public audience, but a TV audience. And I don't want to get into debates about what television directors did or didn't do. The only thing I care about is that Eriksen came through it and hopefully now stabilises in the best way possible. So that was the situation, which obviously meant the game was stopped for the longest time, really. I'm not going to profess to have any great knowledge on this, but from my understanding, Eriksen was in communication with the Danish dressing room, and I believe the players were given the option to continue the game here whilst the stadium was full, or at midday the next day, as in today as I'm recording this. So, look, I'm not going to guess or speculate. All I'll say is if the players were given the choice, whether they were in fit state to make the choice or not, they were given the choice and they made the choice to continue. I'm happy with that if there was no pressure. And if, as we're hearing, they were offered the next day, then it sounds like the options were kind of given to them. So I'm happy with that from what I know. And I'm not even going into this guessing and nonsense and pressure and TV and UEFA and all that. Let's... I think often in this world today, people automatically assume the worst when they don't know. They don't know, 100% assume the worst. Let's try not to fall into that trap. Becomes a bit reductive, doesn't it? Players back out and, well, we'll show you the numbers. With their only shot of the game, the Finns do take the lead. And Kasper Schmeichel, who was at the centre of trying to help out and... you know, showing those leadership qualities, makes an uncharacteristic mistake. Just lets that header wriggle underneath him. Ifs, buts, whys, maybes. Would he have saved it in normal circumstances? I don't know. No one knows because that didn't happen. But, yeah. Penalty up the other end. I've tried to freeze it where I think there was a little bit of contact there on Poulsen's right foot, but did look a little bit of a soft one. We were hearing the terms make-up call, sympathy call in the stream. You can have your say in the chat here. What we do know, though, is it was a really horrible penalty by Højbjerg, who tries to put it to the keeper's left, and it's an easy save, isn't it? Always say on penalties, power, direction, or can you do something clever to send the keeper the wrong way? None of the above there. And again, we'll go into ifs, buts and maybes in normal circumstances. Well, you know who's taking that penalty in normal circumstances because Christian Eriksen stepped up at Wembley earlier in the season, didn't he? And popped one into the net in a Danish win in the Nations League, wasn't it? So normal circumstances, does Højbjerg even take it? Does he score it? Who knows? We don't know. It's ifs, buts and maybes and mitigating circumstances for the Danes. And, God, look at those numbers. One shot for the Finns. One shot on target. They get the goal. 22 shots to 1. It's just one of those, isn't it? 9 corners to 0. But you concede that big chance that it goes through the keeper's hands. You miss a penalty. You lose the game. It's all very unfortunate. I'm sure we can trace it indirectly or directly back to the Eriksen incident and the big pause. And, you know, the psychology of the players is tricky, isn't it? It's very, very tricky. But the Danes go under before we get to Belgium and Russia. Congratulations to the Finns in odd circumstances. Can they draw? Can they draw against the Russians? I think they're going through if they can do to that magic 4 points. So we will see how the story develops now for the Danes and the Finns. Anyway, the Belgians, the world number ones, went against Russia over in St. Petersburg, came in comfortably 3-0. And, yeah, the game got away from the Russians quite easily here in the first half. There are your teams, Courtois in goal, Alderweireld, Boyata, Vertonghen, Hazard left, Castagna right, Dendoncker, Tielemans central, Carrasco, Mertens and Lukaku. Is he going to win the Golden Boot? He's hot favourite now, isn't he, with 2 goals. For the Russians, Shunin in goal. Fernandez, Semenov, Zhikia, Zhirkov across the back. Baranov, Ozdoyev, Zobnin, Golovin, Kuzyaev and Juba, the big guy, up top. And sometimes you watch a game and it gets to 2-0 and you think, they haven't made them work for it. Yes, Belgium had individual quality to capitalise on the mistakes, but if you're a Russian fan and you sat there 2-0, you're like, we've thrown the towel in this one. Couple of errors and Belgium out of sight before half-time. Here's the opener. It's a big mistake by Semenov, the centre-half, because, I can't remember, forgive me, I can see Mertens and Dendoncker in the picture there. Ball's played through to Lukaku. He's offside. But we know the law states now if the defender makes a, quote, deliberate attempt to play the ball, which Semenov clearly does, because he tries to play it and completely miskicks it, that the phase then restarts and the ball essentially comes off is deemed as coming off a opposition player. So Lukaku's then not offside, and we know if Semenov steps out the way, which would be bold, that Lukaku is going to be offside, but that's not the case. A big mistake by Semenov. Lukaku does everything right then, doesn't he? Stops, spins, just gets it good enough quote, the rule of parenting, isn't it? Be good enough, and he spins left-footed into the corner. It's a bit bobbly, but Lukaku off the mark. But Semenov, clear your lines, and that does not happen. And the Belgians were hardly banging the door down at that stage, I have to say. A horrible clash of heads between, it was Castagna for Belgium, wasn't it? And it was Kuzyaev for the Russians. The point being, Castagna goes off and Meunier comes on and scores not long after. But again, I think it's crossed in by Thorgan Hazard. And that's parried out straight into the path of Meunier by Shunin, the goalkeeper. And it's then just a tap-in. I mean, look at the Russian defenders. Two of them falling over themselves. A third slipping. And the keeper on his backside. It's just not a good goal. Just parried out. And Meunier, first time left-footed. Doesn't even stick it right in the corner. But it's an easy finish in the end. 2-0. Good night, I think. Two individual mistakes. And if you'd assume Cherchesov, the Russian manager, would be like, look, we set up, we planned, and you've essentially handed the game over to the #1 team in the FIFA rankings. So 2-0. It's going to go 3 in the second half. We did get to see Eden Hazard before. And it's Meunier, again, the substitute right wing-back. Lovely slip through. And Lukaku's really good finish. First time, hits it nice and early. Right-footed, low into the corner. And goal number 2 for Lukaku, goal number 3 for the Belgians. And you can look at the golden boot and hot favourite, as I've said a couple of times now, Romelu Lukaku. Remember, in this group, he still has to play the Finns and the Danes. Can he fill his boots in the group stage? We normally look for who can score a hat-trick in the group stage. Well, he's got 2, but he's going to be super confident after that opening game, isn't he? Well played, Lukaku. Well played. Belgium, there's the numbers. Look, the Russians are 1 shot on target. The Belgians, 3 big chances. 1.56 over on the XG. Look at the shot map. All nice and solid, isn't it? I think they're all the goals as well. The big 3 blobs. They took all the chances. 66% on the possession. Very viable stuff from the Belgians. However, I don't think they reached 3rd or 4th gear in that one. That works one of 2 ways. Either they've got headroom and they're going to improve and be even better, or against a more difficult opponent, they're going to find it harder. We don't know until they play more games and do come against a difficult opponent, but a very good start for Belgium. And that's what the group looks like. So, Belgium 3, Finland 3, Denmark and Russia both on 0. Next game for Denmark is against the Belgians. Difficult. Very hard now for the Danes, having lost against Finland and going against the most difficult team in the group. Belgium, basically, if they win the next game, they are through, confirmed, aren't they? You get to 6 points on 2 games, you're fine. Same for Finland, really. But you think, I mean, add this up. Imagine a Belgian win, and if Finland can draw in that scenario, they would be still be catchable for the Russians, wouldn't they? So this is the thing, isn't it? And also those 3rd place positions. That's probably what Finland are looking at, though. That they're, I haven't looked at the odds, but they're probably quite highly short now to qualify overall, aren't they? Given those vital 3 points on the board. Here's what we've got today. It's England time, everybody. England versus Croatia at 2. We'll be here for the watch-along. Austria versus North Macedonia at 5. Netherlands, Ukraine will be back for that as a watch-along at 8. p.m. So that is our first Group D game. We're Group D, aren't we, England? And then 2 Group C games. I don't know entirely why they've scheduled it like that, because the Scots don't play until tomorrow. So there you go. That is our Day 2 review. The headlines: Kiefer Moore saves a point for Wales. Eriksen drama and Finland win in Copenhagen. And Lukaku and Belgium make a great start in St. Petersburg. I've had my say, now you have yours. Get your thoughts in the comments. Join me at 1:30 we'll be starting England. Here we go. And then we'll be back at 7:45 for Netherlands versus Croatia. Come and join us for the watch along. It's been great fun. Great group of subscribers and commenters in the chat, in the stream. It's like watching the game with your mates. Come and join us. And remember, hit subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications as well. That is Day 2 dealt with. Let's get into Day 3. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.